Good evening. The May 8th meeting of the Long Beach Community College District Board of Trustees will come to order. We just completed a closed session, and there are no items to report out from the closed session. We have now reconvened. I would ask our student trustee to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Secretary, can we have the roll called?
President Otto.
Here.
Vice President Uranga.
Here.
Member Bowen. Here. Member Clark. Absent. Member Kellogg.
Here.
And Student Trustee Linan.
Here.
Welcome and introductions. We are going to start off with our President Superintendent introducing our student athletes, and then we've got a couple reorderings of the agenda after that. So, Eloy, would you please proceed?
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to welcome several of our student athletes and coaches today, and to do that, I'd like to bring up our Dean of Kinesiology and Athletics to make those introductions. Connie?
Good evening, and thank you, Board President Otto, Board of Trustees members, Superintendent President Oakley, and everyone here tonight. It's my pleasure to share with you and introduce to you several of our coaches who are going to tell you a little bit about the athletic successes that our athletes experienced this year, being proud role models for Long Beach City College, and also their academic successes and where their road will lead them now as they are going to be transferring from Long Beach City College successfully. So we thought we'd share those success stories with you this evening. The first coach that I'm going to call is our baseball coach, Casey Crook.
Hello, thanks for having us. I've got a couple of our transfers here. I think there's probably 6 others on the team that are going to be transferring somewhere, but I just brought with me tonight Omar Jimenez. He's going to transfer to Cal State LA. He's going to study criminal justice. He's been a pitcher for us the last couple of years. Omar's actually been going to school at Long Beach City College for 4 years now. He went for 2 years without even thinking about turning out for baseball. Fantastic student. The guy's passed like 80, passed every class he's ever taken. So he's a very mature guy, got his head on straight. Good things are going to happen for Omar. Now, this is Stephen Gallardo. You might have read his name in the paper recently. Threw a no-hitter for us a couple weeks ago, I guess now. I've been talking to Chris Ruiz. I've been talking to Bob Myers, if you know who that is. We've even had contact with Joyce Hicks. Nobody remembers a no-hitter, ever. So I think Chris is ready to call it unofficially the only no-hitter in school history so far as we know. 10-inning no-hitter, because we don't score very many runs, but we finally scored one in the 10th for him after he struck out the side in the top of the 10th, after he had to go back out there. Stephen is transferring to a school in Kentucky called Georgetown, not Georgetown in Washington, D.C., but Georgetown in Kentucky, where it's one of the top NAIA programs in the nation, and he's gonna do real well there. All right, thank you.
Next, our women's softball coach, Melissa Angel.
Hello, good evening. Thank you for letting us be here tonight. I have actually, this year has been a great year. I have 3 sophomores. I have one here, but 3 sophomores, and all 3 of them are transferring until 4 years. So we have a 100% transfer rate going on this season, so we're really proud of that. two of the girls that are unable to be here. One is Danny Hannon. She's a graduate outfielder from El Segundo High School. She's actually going to Western Oregon University Division II with a 3.5 grade point average and is majoring in English. So she wants to be a I daughter and a T crosser. So we're proud of her for that. And also we have a first baseman that's unable to be here tonight, and her name is Cassie Garcia. She's going to be also attending Western Oregon University, so we're proud for her and looking forward to see both of them succeeding over in Oregon. And tonight I have our catcher, sophomore Melissa Sponholtz, who's from Milliken High School, and we actually signed her to Laverne University about, 2 days ago? a few days ago. So we're looking forward to having her play for Julie Smith, who is a USA Olympian head coach there at Laverne University. Thank you.
Okay, and head football coach Mike Reisbig.
Thank you for having us here tonight. I'm really happy to say that we've gotten quite a few young men out this year. Just about the entire sophomore class has moved on, and we're really proud of that. I brought a couple of young men here tonight for you to see. The first one is Brock Onay. He's going to McPherson State. The next one is Justin A.C. He's going to San Diego State University. He's one of our offensive linemen. Actually, both these are offensive linemen. Joaquin Burgos is going to Missouri Valley. He is a long snapper. And actually, yes, we got a young man out that only snapped the ball to the punter and the PAT kicker, so that's a big deal. Someone actually took him. He's a very good long snapper. The next one is Stefan Doobie. He's going to Point University. He's another one of our big offensive linemen. And then we've got our two other small guys. We've got Willie Bobbitt. He's going to be going to Glenville State. He's one of our receivers and did a great job. And the last one is Sean Morris. He's going to West Texas A&M University. But on my list right now, we've got 13, and we are still counting at this present time. So these are just some of the successes we've got going on in the football department, and I really appreciate all of your support over the past years. Thank you very much.
And now one coach for sports, our men and women's water polo coach and men and women's swim coach, Chris Oding.
So again, thank you for having us here this evening. Like the other sports here, we have quite a few of our sophomores that are going to be transferring on, and we just brought a few of them to show you here tonight. First of all, we have Allison Zell. She came to us from Walnut High School, was a dual athlete in swimming and water polo. And as they say, don't judge a book by its cover, because she's one of the fiercest water polo players you ever go up against. But she's going to be continuing on her education and athletic career at the Cal State University East Bay. Also have Lauren Sweet. She comes to us from Washington State, Curtis High School. She initially went to Alaska out of high school to swim and realized that that was not the life for her, so she came to sunny Southern California, and she played polo for us for 2 years and swam. She was an All-American for us in water polo, a conference champion in the 50-yard breaststroke, and currently holds our 50 breaststroke record. She, too, is going to continue her education and athletic career at water polo only up at the Cal State University of East Bay. Also have Ryan McDonald, another dual athlete in water polo and swimming. He was a member of 2 conference championship water polo teams, conference championship swim team. He just completed our state championships, being a finalist in the mile and the 500-yard freestyle. And he's going to be continuing swimming, playing water polo, and getting his degree from Concordia University in Irvine. Thank you.
takes one dean and 2 athletic directors to do this one. Okay. Without further ado, we're going to introduce our men's volleyball coaches. Recently, the state champion team, our men's volleyball team. Matt Silva,
Charette, John Charette.
Brett Massetti.
Hello, thanks for having us here. I have 4 guys here from the state championship team that I'd like to introduce, but I'd also like to just remember one kid who's at a calculus test. He was the Scholar Athlete of the Year, and our libero, his name was Dylan Marquez. He's going to study engineering at Cal State Long Beach. Like I said, he couldn't be here today because he had a calc test, so just wanted to remember him for sure. And the 4 guys I have are, the first one is sophomore outside hitter, state MVP, Rob McLean. He's going to Brandon University in Canada. Next is Brett Onema. He attended Valley Christian and then came here for a year. I'm sorry to lose him after a year because it'd be nice to have a middle returning. But he's attending Concordia University next year. Sophomore setter opposite is going to University of Hawaii, Max Wexung. And sophomore middle blocker who is also attending University of Hawaii, Anefre Etim Thomas. Thanks again for everything.
Well, and thank you all. Thank you for your dedication and for doing such a wonderful job with our student athletes. To all the coaches, athletic directors, and to our dean, thank you.
Our student athletes and their coaches. Long Beach has a truly memorable athletic record, and it's almost 85 years here, and this is just an extension of that, another state championship and student athletes that have been recognized at a league level, at a state level, not only for their athletic accomplishments, but for their academic accomplishments as well. You know, we talk so often here about the importance of learning communities. One of the best kept secrets I think we have is that probably our most successful learning communities include our athletic teams because they work together, they study together, and they achieve the kind of results that you've seen here. So congratulations to everyone. We are going to reorder the agenda real quickly. I understand that. And have Greg Peterson do agenda item 11.1 concerning Phi Theta Kappa, excuse me, which, because there's some time conflicts. Greg?
I would like to invite one of our students, Andrew A.J. Meyer, to come forward. So every year, Phi Theta Kappa and the Community College State Association sponsor all-state community college academic teams in 37 participating states. Each two-year college in California may nominate 2 students per campus to the all-state academic team, and nominations are based on outstanding academic performance and service to the college and community. I'm pleased to announce that Andrew Meyer was named to the California All-State Academic Second Team. We're honored to have Andrew represent Long Beach in this achievement.
If I can just say something, young man, did you go to the Phi Theta Kappa conference in Nashville? No, you did not? Okay, no wonder I didn't see any Long Beach people over there. I went to their conference, and it's just phenomenal the work that Phi Theta Kappa does across the country with their students. It's a phenomenal group of individuals, and for you to be honored in this way, I think speaks volumes for the programs that we have here in Long Beach, because it's a wonderful program. It's a wonderful conference. Congratulations to you.
And by the way, Andrew is a President's Ambassador as well, so.
There you go.
There you go. And we only assume that being a President's Ambassador contributed to your accomplishments in Phi Theta Kappa. It's, you don't have to answer that question. Okay, we're going to reorder the agenda one more time now to include an item now, and that's item number 16, which Janice Thompson is going to talk to us about some other accomplishments.
Thank you very much. I'd like to introduce Cherie King. She's the Department Chair of Theater, Dance, and Film, and she's going to update us on curriculum and student success initiatives, and she has some special students here with her, so thank you for allowing us to reorder.
Thank you, President Otto and members of the Board of Trustees, President Oakley, for having us here today to present our student successes. My name is Cherie King. I'm professor of dance and currently going into my second term as department chair of theater, dance, and film. We are 3 programs in one department. I want to start with a quote from Friedrich Nietzsche. Dancing in all its forms cannot be excluded from the curriculum of all noble education. Dancing with the feet, with ideas, with words. And need I add that one must also be able to dance with the pen. I'd like to present to you our students from the Long Beach City College Dance Program. Highlighting student success is what we are here today to demonstrate to you. I am proud of the accomplishments of our dance alumni. Some of our past students are now professional ballet dancers in major ballet companies, such as the Dance Theater of Harlem, the Hamburg Ballet of Germany, the Sacramento and Los Angeles Classical Ballets, and most impressively with Mikhail Baryshnikov at Hell's Kitchen Dance in New York City. Some of our students have gone on to be professional hip-hop dancers, with one student being a cultural ambassador in Zambia, and others have made a career performing in commercial dance, films, and music videos. Several students are choreographers and have started their own dance companies in modern and ethnic styles. Some students have entered the fitness industry as instructors of Zumba, Pilates, and gyrotonic. Others have chosen to teach and own and operate their own dance studios. One student is currently pursuing and completing his PhD in dance history. A large group of our current students have auditioned successfully and were accepted into prestigious summer dance company programs such as the American Dance Festival, the Pacific Northwest Ballet, Dallas Black Dance Theater, Lines Contemporary Ballet, Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater, and Ballet Hispanico. Some of the four-year institutions our students have transferred to are California State University's Long Beach and Fullerton, UC Irvine, CalArts, New York University Tisch School of the Arts, and Sarah Lawrence College. The capstone project of the dance program is the dance concert, which we present each semester. Here is a short excerpt from our recent concert. Our departmental productions are the cultural ambassadors for the college. We are the first and sometimes only contact many community members have with Long Beach City College. Our last play, Long Bridge Over Deep Waters, was produced at the request of the Cultural Diversity Committee here at the college, and it represented the diversity of our campus and of the city, and it was well received by the committee. But all of our productions include aspects of diversity, whether it's in the dances of the dance concert or the plays we choose to produce. Gregory Mortensen is here to speak about the theater program and its student success.
Thank you for that, Cherie. Good evening, everyone, board, president, and guests. I also would like to start with a quote from a much, much wiser man than myself, who said at one time, "You know, it ain't bragging if you've done it." And that was a gentleman, some of you may have heard of, Samuel Clemens, nay Mark Twain. Thank you. So, not that we're not bragging a little bit, but I would like to list some accomplishments from the Theater Arts Department. We do have record enrollment, which is great. We're stacked to the rafters, as they say. First order of business, we created the Long Beach City College Theater Arts Academy. And that's the first in this district, in this area. The other community colleges do not have it. And it's a fast track to the AA degree. And it's also recognized by UC Santa Barbara, which only has the only BFA program in theater arts in the state, as well as Cal State Long Beach and Cal State Fullerton. So it puts us to the head of the line, shall we say. We recently received a Pepsi grant to produce a Fusion of the Arts Festival, which was introduced by President Oakley. And quite a success. We invited all the high schools to come participate. They did, and it was a great competition, culminating in 2 days of scenes and dance and good feelings and community. Quite a success. We've also recently established a working relationship with the Shakespeare Festival of Los Angeles. They provided a professional venue for our last summer's show, which was the course acting show, a lesson in how to act professionally bad to great comedic effect. Greatest success, it provided performance opportunities, professional credits, and internships at Shakespeare LA. Great time. We also created a 10-course curriculum on the how-tos of show business. Often you hear, well, it's not show art, it's show business. Exactly. So we give them the tools and show them how to use it. We also established the groundwork again with Shakespeare LA for what we're calling the Veterans Program for New and Old, to come to Long Beach City College and participate in the Veterans Arts Program to reacclimate all veterans of all ages and all foreign conflicts, how to get back into society through the arts. And we're on the verge of making that happen. We've also provided our students the opportunity to meet and attend a symposium for the Tony-nominated playwright John Cariani, who I had the great fortune to direct his play, Almost Maine. And he came and did a symposium with our students, question answer, great time, great success. And also we had James Still, who wrote Long Bridge Over Deep Waters that Tony Carrero directed, and he also opportuned the students to have the same question-answer symposium. It was fantastic. So it's great not only to have the playwright's words, but to meet and greet the individuals who wrote them. They also get a flavor and a taste of what it is to work on the New York stage, to actually speak to a Tony-nominated actor and writer. Great opportunity. And now for a little closer to home, we have some lists here of people who have, where do these acting students go? Where do they go after they leave here? They just fade into the ether? What do they do? Well, I have a list to tell you. Aaron Pressburg transferred UC Riverside, successfully completed his degree. Colin Bressie transferred to Cal State Dominguez Hills, completed his degree. Chariot Jones, if you would please stand up. It's one of our finalists for the Juilliard School of Performing Arts out of 3,500 students. Thank you. Yes, thank you. As they say, she did us proud. Kaylee Quinones went to the South Coast Repertory Training Institute, 2010. Raji Ashan accepted and transferred to the Tisch School of the Arts, New York City, NYU. He's currently studying there now. Amanda Meek transferred to Tufts University, Boston, studying dance and theater. Angelo Guzman Godoy transfer recently to Cal State Fullerton. Luis Diaz, also recent transfer, Cal State Fullerton, currently in the BA program. Kaylee Bowens, also Cal State Fullerton, Theater Arts program, BA. Dustin Velasquez, along with Jenny Raimondo, founded the Straight Up Theater Company in Long Beach and is also a student accepted Cal State Fullerton. Danny Rangel, currently working with 2 different improvisational companies, Laughing Stock Development and A Fistful of Improv, that he founded from this college. Martin Ura, accepted Cal State Fullerton. Charlie Sanchez, currently working with the award-winning Urban Theater Movement. Jill Yim, Cal State Summer Arts Intensive twice, and A Fistful of Improv, Long Beach. Corey Nestor accepted South Coast Repertory Intensive Training. Jules Fugit transferred to Cal State Long Beach and also accepted to Cal State Summer Arts Intensive. Kenny Nauta hired Mysterium Theater. Scott Calhoun transferred successfully, UC Irvine, double major theater arts and film. Dennis Pearson, if you would, please stand up, sir. One of our fine actors right here. He's accepted and won the Irene Ryan Acting Award from the Kennedy Center Theater Festival and for his performance as King Aegeus in the play Medea, also on the fast track to UC Santa Barbara BFA program. And certainly not least but last, Kristen Bergamasco, recent winner of the DAG Dramatic Arts Guild Scholarship Award for Best Actress 2012. There we are. And that's just to name a few. Now, I know it's a lot of names, a lot of titles, a lot of schools, but it's satisfying to us when we hear back. The great, and me personally being dragged into the 21st century with electronics. You know, this is my PowerPoint presentation. I have the power and I'll point. I believe in hands-on in theater arts and getting to the people, which we please all invite you all. Come see us, see what we do, be our guest. And lastly, know that we're all making a difference, everyone in this room and beyond, putting our college out there, putting a face on it, and with the advent of Facebook and Twitter and all that, and I call it my face and your space, I don't know. They laugh at me, these students, with this stuff, but it does work. And we do have a reputation that's burgeoning, growing every day, and I can only thank the students and your continued support. Thank you. We also have, one quick thing, we also have pamphlets for the board to take. There's discs of our work. Please, at your leisure, enjoy.
President Addo, thank you very much for your time, and you can see how proud the faculty are of each and every one of the students and their accomplishments. Thank you.
Thank you so much. What a great presentation. Wow, very, very, very impressive. Now to a little bit more mundane subjects. First, I'd entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the April 24th meeting.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Jeff Kellogg, seconded by Roberto Uranga. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carries unanimously. And then reports of the Board of Trustees. In Agenda Item 1.1, we have a resolution concerning the classified School Employee Week. The third week of May has been designated as Classified School Employee Week and is recognized by the state of California through a bill signed by the governor in 1986. And we're asked to pass a resolution from this Board of Trustees to recognize Classified School Employee Week. Can I get a motion?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Member Kellogg, seconded by Member Uranga. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carries unanimously. There are no committee reports to my knowledge from the Board of Trustees, so we will go to public comments on agenda items.
Trustee.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed right over the student trustee. Student trustee report.
Yes, thank you. I mentioned last week that the ASB elections were in progress, so I just wanted to take a moment and recognize those results. The newly elected officers are as followed: Rose Hang for president, Josh Lorenzini for vice president, Maria Lopez, secretary, Kristen Payne, treasurer, and Jason Troye, student trustee. This Friday, current elected officers and our successors will gather an annual banquet to officially welcome the new student leaders. I feel confident that our current cabinet has helped create a momentum that I believe each of the newly elected officers will help support and elaborate on. We will need this type of leadership going into the next fiscal year. It's no secret that budget cuts and lack of revenue is affecting everyone. Many students are coming together and collaborating on what has been done and what will be done on many issues. Students care about their education and want to be informed on current matters. To me, this is obvious due to increased student involvement that I've seen. Students, staff, and community members were given the opportunity to come together in a forum presented by the Promise Pathways Steering Committee today. I know that many questions have been asked in regards to this program. Providing a setting where one can come and ask questions and get informed is appreciated and needed. With that in mind, I hope forums such as this continue because they help provide insight on current topics. For the past couple weeks, I've been going around asking students about a current topic, and that is the initiative that will be on the ballot in November regarding education funding. And one of the things that I guess I wasn't surprised about is the lack of awareness of the initiative. And that's one thing that I want to bring light to for this upcoming semester, and something that we need to be thinking about for the summer is how we can get the students informed, because I know that they want to. They've been coming here, they've been being present, and they want to be involved, and I think they should be involved because this decision affects them tremendously. It affects everybody here, everybody in this room. So we need to start that dialogue. We need to start talking about what it really means if it does pass or it doesn't pass, because I don't stand here today either in support or against the initiative. I just am stating that the students need to get involved and they need to be informed. And these forums that have been provided have been very helpful, and so there's something to say about that, and there needs to be a momentum with that as well. So as a student representative, I'm asking that we come together on this issue because we want to be a part of the decision making, and we want to be a part of it before it happens rather than after it happens. So with that, that is my report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Questions, comments? None. We now go to agenda item number 3, public comments on agenda items. We have one person signed up to speak. That's CCA President Lynn Shaw.
Good evening. My name is Lynn Shaw. I'm the president of the Community College Association, the full-time faculty union, and I just have 2 items I'd like to speak to you about tonight. We have signed a tentative agreement with the district. The voting is going on right now by the faculty. The voting will be completed at noon on Monday, May 14th. And at that time, I will call each of the Board of Trustees and President Oakley to tell you the results of the voting. There is much dialogue going on among faculty about the pros and cons of the tentative agreement, and I and pleased that people are talking about it, and I'm not sure what's going to happen. The second and last thing I want to talk about is a reduction in force of a full-time tenured faculty member. Hasn't happened for a very long time at Long Beach City College, and it has just happened, and that is really a terrible moment for faculty, for the community, and for the students. And I just couldn't let the moment go by without saying how profoundly saddened I am that this is the way we see to balance our budget. Thank you.
Agenda item number 4, the consent agenda. All items on the consent agenda may be acted upon by one motion to approve. Any item may be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately if a member of the Board of Trustees so requests. Are there any requests to remove any items? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion with regards to the consent agenda.
Move to approve.
Is there a second? Moved by Member Uranga, seconded by Member Kellogg. We're monopolizing this meeting in terms of motions. Any questions? All in favor of the approval of the consent agenda, say aye. 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 Opposed? Carries unanimously. We are on to agenda item 5.3. This is a resolution, reduction or discontinuation of a particular kind of academic service. Let me get to the last line here. I need a motion. Yeah, hold on a second. Is there a second?
For discussion, second.
Yeah. There's a second. Discussion?
Perhaps if we can get some clarification as to how we arrived at this decision.
Turn it over to Vice President Peterson to speak specifically about the position, and if there's any questions for Vice President Delgado, I'm sure she'd be available as well.
So, in order to better serve our students, for our disabled programs, disabled student programs and services, we have looked to reallocate our funding as it currently stands to better provide services to a broader number of students. And so we're looking at creating a classified position that would be able to provide additional support in alternative media and some of the and direct student support.
Okay. My understanding, what is the position that is being asked to be eliminated?
The title of the position is DSPS High Tech Center Instructor.
Okay. And can you tell us what that job is?
That position is a faculty position that was created to provide courses to help students to learn how to use the alternative, the technology tools in order to support them in their accommodations.
And approximately how many students per year does this position see, or do they enroll?
Approximately 75 per semester, okay, on average.
And how many students in the school fall under this disabled student program?
We have approximately 8,000.
Okay. Now, is the disabled student program and services being eliminated in any way?
By no means, no.
Is it being cut back?
No.
Is it being reorganized in some way?
Yes.
Why?
Again, to meet the needs of students. Meet the needs of students. So we have increased need from our students for alternative media, for support in accessing tools and resources in order to be successful in their courses. And so what we're doing is reallocating those services to better provide those services. So none of the money is going outside of the program.
Thank you. Roberto?
Yeah, if I heard you correctly in the beginning of your presentation, this faculty position is not actually being lost, but being reallocated in another way, a classified position. You want to explain that a little further? I wasn't quite clear on what the effect of the reduction was going to be.
What we will be doing through this resolution is terminating the services of the high-tech center instructor and instead creating a disability support services specialist position. That position is in the classified service. That position, so the department is being reorganized so that the students are being better served with the services that they need.
And will the individual affected by this reduction in force be eligible to apply for that position, or will
Yes, she will. She will be able to apply for the position once the Personnel Commission approves it. And so the position itself is on its way to the Personnel Commission for approval.
And have there been additional accommodations that have been made for the individual that occupies this position?
We actually entered into a MOU, a Memorandum of Understanding, between CCA and the district, and in that Memorandum of Understanding, there are a couple things. One, with that memorandum, the union did agree to withdraw their hearing. The district, in turn, agreed to withdraw a layoff notice to a DSPNS counselor, and we agreed as the district to submit to the Personnel Commission the Disability Support Services Specialist position. At the same time, we also agreed to give Michelle Thomas, or extend to Michelle Thomas, from 39 months on the reemployment list to 48 months on the reemployment list. And so with that, we were able to move forward. We met all our timelines that are necessary by Education Code. And so tonight we're presenting the board with the final resolution to engage in the termination of our high-tech center instructor services.
Okay. Are there any other questions or comments? Okay. It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
If I can just make a comment. You know, I've said this before. I've said it, and I'll keep saying it. It's the worst position that this board has to take, which is reducing positions, reducing them because of budget considerations that we're at. I mean, it's an unfortunate situation where we have. I always said it when we had to lay off classified. I've said it when we have to lay off part-time faculty, and I will continue to say it. Even students are affected. In this instance, I think that the fact that we are restructuring the DSPS to provide an enhancement in a way to better provide services to the students, and that the faculty that are affected have an opportunity to continue their service with Long Beach City College, I think is something that that offers the best type of scenario that we can possibly have. Given the circumstances, it's unfortunate. However, I think that given that we are offering an opportunity for the faculty to continue with us, I think is a good thing. And again, just regret that we have to arrive at this decision.
Any other comments? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Carries unanimously. Agenda item 8.1, new material fees for OSHA standards for construction safety course. This is a recommendation that we can under the Education Code approve material fees for a specific course offered in the department to cover the cost of materials. That fee is to be paid at the time of registration. This is for in the School of Trades and Industrial Technologies, Electronics 253, OSHA standards for construction safety. The material fee is $5.
Move to approve.
Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimously. Hold on. I lost my agenda. Agenda item 9.1, our superintendent president report.
Thank you, Board President Otto. I just have a few comments and updates. First of all, I want to recognize and thank all the faculty and Vice President D'Agalio, who put together a very wonderful newly tenured faculty event. It was a wonderful opportunity to celebrate the tenure of our newly tenured faculty. They're a wonderful group, and it was a great evening enjoying and celebrating their tenure here at Long Beach City College. Also want to thank the Latino Faculty Association for helping to co-sponsor a very nice event. We had Dr. David Hayes Bautista come and speak about Cinco de Mayo and the meaning of Cinco de Mayo, and the clarifying for everyone that it is an American tradition, not a Mexican tradition. And we just recently celebrated Cinco de Mayo, so I thought it was a wonderful reminder. It's not Mexican Independence Day. I know that's news to some. I also want to thank everybody who attended the Promise Pathways forums today, and thank you, Amy, for recognizing that. I agree with you. I think we need to continue to build upon that momentum and continue to speak with and work with the students on campus so that there's clear information and feedback about the direction that we're heading. And then finally, two final things. I want to publicly thank Dr. Shah and some of the other organizers of the Funeral for Education. I think it was a well-done event. It was a very, how would you say, well-managed event, and on a day that there was a lot of nervous people in the county regarding the various May Day events that took place. So I want to thank the faculty who organized the event and did a great job working with the students and everybody to obviously communicate their message in a way that was respectful and maintained order. So thank you. And then finally, I want to take the opportunity to wish our Vice President for Administrative Services a happy birthday. She celebrated her birthday yesterday, although we just ate cupcakes today celebrating it. So happy birthday, Anne-Marie. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you very much. Happy birthday, Anne-Marie. Agenda item number 11, academic affairs. I understand there's no items, no report. Is that correct? Agenda item 12, we had moved up. Under that is 11.1, the Phi Theta Kappa presentation. We go to administrative services. 12.8, there's a resolution authorizing the issuance and sale of general obligation refunding bonds. Can we have a report on that?
Thank you. Yes, what this resolution is doing is it's authorizing us to basically refinance some of our general obligation bonds that we issued back in 2005. Similar to when you refinance your house to get a lower interest rate, we're trying to do the same thing with our general obligation bonds to what they call refund them, which is basically refinancing them to get a lower interest rate that will ultimately save our local taxpayers money on their property tax bills, because the principal and interest that we'll be paying on the general obligation bonds will be less than what it currently is.
There's a motion to approve by Member Kellogg. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimously. We go on to agenda item 12.9, which is the third quarter financial status report, which I understand, Anne Marie, you're also going to give us. How did you ever have any time to celebrate your birthday?
I took yesterday off. Yes, so agenda item 12.9 is what we call the 311Q. It's our quarterly report that we submit to the Chancellor's office, and it reflects what we have spent thus far and what we're projecting to spend for fiscal year 2011-2012. At our next agenda item, I'll go over all of the numbers in detail unless you'd like me to do it right now. The 311Q is more of a summarized version from what our third quarterly report is. Do you want me to go into the detail now or wait for the next item?
Why don't you go ahead and do it? I think we can consider them at the same time. We need the information because that's what's going into 311Q.
Okay, so if we can just turn your attention to item 12.1, or 12.10, I'm sorry, which is the third quarter budget performance report, and I'll walk through that report on a page-by-page basis. On the first page, this is our third quarter budget performance report as of March 31st, 2012, and it is for the unrestricted general fund only. And this format is the same as what you've seen previously, where we show the adopted budget for the 2011-12 fiscal year, the current budget, what we have actually either received in revenues or spent as of March 31st, 2012, and then our projection of where we think we're going to end the year at June 30th of 2012. The last two columns are the variance between the current budget and the projected year-end column, so both the dollar amount of the variance and then the percentage of the variance. The first line item I'd like to bring your attention to is on page 1. It's under the state apportionment, and if you look at the subtotal line for state apportionment, you'll see that we're projecting to receive $91.3 million in revenue related to our state apportionment. And this is the money that we receive from our FTES. And then the variance from where we are in our current budget is a negative $3.5 million. What this $3.5 million reflects is the Trigger 2 cuts that were imposed by the governor in January of $1.4 million, plus the additional deficit factor that was imposed by the Chancellor's office in late February, where the deficit factor is now at 3.4%. So the difference between that so basically we had a deficit factor of about $2.1 million in addition to the $1.4 million cut. So we'll have $3.5 million less coming in our apportionment revenue for this year. The next line item there, prior year recalculation. Again, this is related to our state apportionment, and as you may recall, we don't get our final funding for any given year until about 8 or 9 months after the end of the fiscal year. So this prior year recalculation is related to our June 30th, 2011 FTES that was reported, and we are receiving about $795,000 more than we had anticipated at June 30, 2011 when we closed our books, and that is due to a reduction in the deficit factor that was imposed by the state. So overall, at this point in time, we're projecting that we'll receive about $2.7 million less in total state apportionment for the current fiscal year 2011-12. So moving on to page 2, under total revenues, you see there, overall in total revenues, we're projecting that we'll be about $1.6 million under what our budget was. So at this point in time, we're projecting that we'll receive just under $99 million in total revenue for the district. And then there at the bottom of page 2, you see the total revenue and other financing sources, to where we're just going to be about under $100 million in total revenues and other financing sources, or about $1.8 million less than what we had originally budgeted.
I see that right there. You have 2%, it's a 2% less than prior year?
That's a 2% variance from budget.
From the budget, okay.
Yes. Moving on to page 3, this is where our expenditures start. So the first group of expenditures are our academic salaries. As of March 31st, we're projecting that we will spend less in our academic salaries than was originally budgeted. So we're projecting a savings of about $1.3 million. That's primarily due to, we had some full-time faculty that took reduced workloads. We had some late resignations in the academic salaries area. And then we have savings in our part-time salaries just due to the reduction in classes and somewhat due to the reduction in the summer schedule. On the classified salaries, that's the next group of expenditures that you see in the report. We're projecting a savings of about $513,000 from what we had originally budgeted. And again, this is really due to vacancies that occur throughout the year that either aren't filled or are filled later and not immediately. On the benefits side, we're projecting a $509,000 savings from what we had originally budgeted. And again, benefits are a reflection of salaries, so if we're projecting a savings in salaries, we're going to have a savings in benefits. Moving on to page 4, there's not a whole lot of significant changes between what we had budgeted and what we are projecting to spend at the end of the year. We are still, as of March 31st, we still had purchase orders that were being entered, and we're still basically under the assumption that most departments are going to spend everything that they've been allocated. So you don't see a whole lot of variances on those line items. I would like to point out that on the trans cost of issuance, about 3/4 of the page down, you see that we're projecting to spend $100,000 more than what we had originally budgeted, and that's because we were forced, due to cash flow issues, to issue a second trans that we did in March. So as you may recall, we issued a trans in July for $10 million, and then we issued another trans in March for $15 million, and that's strictly for cash flow purposes. So moving on to page 6, where we have the total expenditures and other outgo. You see that we are projecting at the end of June 30th, 2012, that we're going to spend about $107.7 million, and that is $2.2 million less than we had originally anticipated. And so when you net that $2.2 million less in expenditures with the reduction in revenues of $1.8 million, you see that we're going to be a little bit better off than what we had projected in our budget by about $453,000. That's on the operating surplus or deficit line. So rather than having about a $8.2 million deficit that we had adopted in our budget, we're projecting at this point in time to have about a $7.7 million deficit. So we are still deficit spending. We haven't gotten out of that yet, but we do have the fund balance for this current fiscal year, but you see that that will significantly bring down our ending balance to where at this point in time we're projecting our ending balance to be just under $10.4 million, which is about 9.7% of our total expenditures. Any questions?
And of course, I know we're spending our reserves.
Yes.
But we've got 10.4 million as our projected end-of-year balance. What happens if the tax measures pass, and what will our reserve then be? What happens?
We have not finalized our tentative budget yet for the 12-13 year, but if we end June 30th of 2012 with the $10.4 million that we're projecting at this point in time, and without making any changes to our expenditures, that would have significantly cut into our ending balance for the 12-13 fiscal year. When we do our budget, we basically do what's called a rollover budget. So all the divisions and all the departments get just about the same budget that they had in the previous year. So if we just strictly rolled over our budget entirely and didn't make any changes, we would have a deficit of that $7.7 million that you see that we're projecting for this current fiscal year. Looking into the future, that was why we brought the actions to the board that we did at the last meeting for the reduction in force on both the classified and the management side. We're expecting that we'll have about $5 million in savings due to those actions, which will reduce our deficit, but will not completely eliminate our deficit. So we will be cutting into our fund balance in the 12-13 year. Our goal is to keep it at a 5% reserve, and so that's what we're doing to make all of the cuts, is to try to keep that 5% reserve going into future years.
So the fact that we have a projected year-end balance of $10.4 million doesn't mean that that's the money we have. In other words, it's going to be, we're going to use it, and we're going to wind up being down, given that we're deficit spending to a 5% level, which is board policy for reserves.
Right. Not having our tentative budget done yet, but I would expect that when we have the tentative budget, that we would be projecting our ending balance at June 30th of 2013 to be closer to $6 million.
Okay. Other questions? Okay, hearing no other questions, the action item is the adoption of the 2011-2012 311Q third quarter financial status report to be sent to the Chancellor. Did we make a motion on this already? I don't think we did.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It carries unanimously. Agenda item 14, Pacific Coast Campus. I understand there's no items, no reports. Thank you, Dr. Breland. Economic and Resource Development. Luann, Title V grants, you've got a presentation for us on the Hispanic Serving Institutions.
Yes. Thank you, President Otto, members of the board, and President Oakley. A few months ago, you had asked for an update on our institutional Title V, which was completed last fall, as well as opportunities in the future for new Title V grant opportunities. So tonight we have with us our Dean of Student Success, Bobby Villalobos, Dr. Eva Begg, our Associate Dean of Institutional Effectiveness, and our Director of Institutional Resource Development, Marty Alvarado, who will walk us through that. Bobby?
Thank you. Thank you, Board President Otto, board members, and Superintendent President Oakley. The Title V Skills Grant, and that stood for Support and Knowledge Increases Latino Learning and Success, was a 5-year federal grant of $2.8 million that served Long Beach City College from October 2006 to September 2011. Over the 5 years, we experienced great accomplishments with the grant, and overall, it initiated discussions that led to greatly improve our efforts to help students succeed. Many faculty and staff participated in the work of the grant, many participated in the grant activities, and many students benefited from the grant. The grant included 5 overall goals from 8 different activities. The overall assumption of Title V grants is that it allows institutions to be innovative, to try new approaches for improving student success, and move forward with the approaches that prove successful. Another assumption is that the context of the college changes over the years of the grant. For example, since the time we wrote the grant and were awarded it, we experienced an economic downturn, a move towards accountability, a shift in our mission, and a new state student success agenda. And the Title V grant provides flexibility in addressing those changes. The goals of the grant, as shown, reflect where the college was at the time the grant was written in 2006. At that time, we needed to offer programs and services for Latino students in new and different ways, help faculty address the challenges Latino students bring to their education, provide adequate technology for tracking students and evaluating learning outcomes, and strengthen our research capacities. Overall, we needed to improve Latino student success and all student success, particularly in foundation courses such as English, math, and reading. The 5 goals of the grant guided our activities. The grant activities as shown were both large and small and addressed both campus-wide and department and program needs. Decision regarding the activities involved faculty members, faculty already responsible for specific areas of the grant, staff, and governing bodies such as the College Planning Committee, the Curriculum Committee, and the Assessment of Student Learning Outcomes Committee. I'd like to highlight a few of the results of the grant that were realized over the past 5 years. Student Success Centers. The grant allowed for the development of the Supplemental Learning Assistance, or the SLAs, activities offered through the centers to directly support course curriculum. We now have 38 courses that offer SLAs in the centers, including many using online modalities. Recent data shows that in 2010-11, students who participated in SLAs had a success rate that was 43% higher and a retention rate that was 34% higher than students who did not participate. Another effort of the grant was also provided for the establishment of the Faculty Teaching Learning Center, a dedicated center in the library for faculty professional development. The grant also funded numerous other activities, including conference attendance by groups of faculty, flex and workshop speakers, webinars, the Brain Institute, and training in On-Course, a program that focuses on strategies for empowering students to become active, responsible learners. 42 faculty participated in On-Course 1, 28 in On-Course 2, and 30 attended the On-Course National Conference in Long Beach last year. Faculty research was another focus of the grant. The ESL math and reading departments participated in comprehensive studies of their courses, including reviews of curriculum and course sequences at other colleges and student surveys. For example, the math department surveyed 700 students to ascertain their study skill levels and their experiences in math classes, and 20 of those students were personally interviewed by the math faculty to learn more in depth about the students and the barriers they faced in succeeding in math courses. In addition, the faculty were interviewed to discover what they had learned about their students and to determine how their teaching had been affected by the research project.
Excuse me, can I ask you a quick question about that?
Sure.
Is this a research design that was required by for us to be by the grant?
It was one of the grant activities was a faculty research component.
Good.
Yeah.
And did we design it ourselves, or was it?
We did, and it was modeled after the equity scorecard that we did previously. Supplemental instruction is offered in 30 courses across the campus, focusing now on high-risk courses such as those in the sciences, and this activity has now been institutionalized. Research is essential to our efforts to help students succeed, and through the grant, a research analyst was hired to support all the evaluation efforts related to the grant and to determine their effectiveness of the grant overall. This position has also now been institutionalized. And finally, the grant provided for the implementation of TrackDat, a web-based software tool used to assist in the collection and transmission of data for use in program planning and program review, including student learning outcomes. This is the first time Long Beach City College has had this capacity to facilitate planning and review. Dr. Eva Bagg will now present the outcomes of the grant.
Thank you. There were several measurable objectives written into this grant, and we have conducted a comparative study for each of those, looking at the time the grant was implemented, originally in 2005 up through 2011. So we have all of that data, and I would like to thank the Academic Senate and Janice Thompson for inviting us to start sharing that data with the faculty. We're very encouraged by that interest, and in a way it's just carrying on that faculty inquiry into the data of our student performance. But tonight we're just going to highlight some of the key findings. So we'll start with, and again, these relate to the goals of student success. So I'm just going to report on those performance measures of students. So looking at the success rates, and you'll probably recall from previous presentations, we define success in a course as a student getting a C or better, or a passing grade for those courses that don't have a grade other than pass, no pass. So we're looking here as the grant prescribed at foundational courses. Again, these are math, English, and reading pre-collegiate courses. And I'm reporting here on the success rates, first of all, for full-time Latino students. From the start of the grant to the end of the grant, that rate went from 52% to 58%. For the part-time Latino students, from 44% to 52%. So that was course success rate. The next measure is not so promising, but we've been focusing on persistence. And just to refresh your memory on what we mean by that, and specifically for this objective, what we're looking at, we looked at a number of different measures at different levels within the sequences for our basic skills pre-collegiate courses. So this measure of persistence basically will give an example in math. We were looking at, for this measure, students taking intermediate algebra, which is a level below transfer level, and then progressing through to the transfer level. And we looked at students, starting at the start of, actually prior to this grant, and after 4 years, we looked at what percentage of students persisted and enrolled into that transfer level course. So we actually observed, and this is the only measure for which we observed a decrease. The percentage, as you see, went from 63% to 56%. Now, a number of reasons may have contributed to this in part. Budget cuts reduced opportunities for students to take these courses. The other thing that we know is that students often put off those transfer courses, and this is what we're responding to not only with our targeted measurable objectives for our educational master plan, but also particularly with Promise Pathways and the college preparation course. You'll recall we're prescribing that students take these courses early on. We have a pilot placement model, so we're directly addressing this with what's currently happening right now at the college.
This was over a 4-year period of time?
Yeah, that we're tracking students over a 4-year period of time. So what we did, we looked at students who took that course in math or English in 2000, tracked them over a 4-year period of time. That became our baseline. And then we looked at students who started at the level below transfer in 2005 and tracked them for a 4-year period of time and see if they enrolled in the transfer level.
Okay, good, thanks.
The next measure is looking at student success in transfer level courses, again in the foundational courses of English, math, and reading. This, we're seeing very promising results. It rose from 49% at the start of the grant to 58%. And focusing on Latino students, this was actually the measure where Latino students showed the greatest gains of all ethnic groups, in fact, doubling that of the improvement over other ethnic groups. So this is a really strong improvement. And then finally, looking at Latino success in all other transfer level courses, that is outside of the English and math and reading, we see a modest increase from 60% to 62%. So I think the other more dramatic improvement is a reflection of all the efforts with the success centers and focusing on those foundational courses. I'll turn it over now to Marty Alvarado, our Director of Institutional Resource Development.
Well, thank you. Looking forward, looking ahead to what's coming up, we just thought we'd give you a little bit of context about the Developing Hispanic Serving Institutions program as a whole. what we're noting is that there are 3 areas of focus that we need to be paying attention to. There's increased competition, there's increased advocacy for the program and increased scrutiny of the program, and increased accountability across the board. Sorry, let me flip the page here. What we mean by increased competition is that in 1990, there were 137 eligible HSI institutions. As of 2010, there were over 293, more than doubling the eligible institutions who are now competing for these funds. More significantly, at that point in time in 2010, there were 204 what were called emerging HSIs who were right on the cusp of being eligible to compete for these funds. And so now 2 years later, we are looking at significantly increased competition. What we're also seeing is that we are seeing reduced funding for the program as a whole. From 2010 to 2011, the program was cut by over $13 million, significantly reducing the number of awards that the program is able to make. And so what we're also seeing here is that what the Department of Ed is doing is alternating the years that they actually open up the solicitation for colleges to compete for the funding. In terms of the advocacy, everyone is noting that in order to have an impact on the completion agenda, the population that we need to target is the Latino, Hispanic community and the students and the institutions that support these students. Along with that, they're also looking at how are these dollars really making an impact on the completion agenda and the support for these students. And most notably, we're looking at increased accountability as a result of that advocacy and scrutiny by institutions such as HACU, organizations such as HACU, the Hispanic Association for Colleges and Universities, the Excelencia in Education, Lumina. Every major funder is looking at how are we supporting this population and how are we evaluating the impact of those dollars. And so we're looking at increased accountability across the board. This is really noted in what the Department of Ed actually published for their competitive priorities for the 2012 competition. The 2012 competition was posted in February of this year and closed in March, and there were 3 major priorities by which they are evaluating all of the applications. They are looking at increased post-secondary success very prescriptively in terms of actual completions, persistence, and attainment. They're also highlighting, really notably, enabling more data-based decision-making. They want to see the research for the practices and strategies that we are proposing to implement. They want to see that we are making adjustments based on our strategy evaluations over the course of the program implementation, and that we have a strong research component tied to each of the proposals. They are also looking at how are colleges improving productivity? How are we looking at designing programming that really streamlines efficiencies and gets the services to the students that need it most? This college currently serves over 17,000 Hispanic Latino students a year, and we really need to be focused on addressing how do we create programming that's going to serve those students effectively. So what we wanted to do was give you a quick snippet of what we submitted March 15th of 2012. We submitted an individual grant. Title V currently has 2 options, individuals and collaboratives. We are looking at a collaborative with Cal State Long Beach for future applications. This year we focused on the Promise Pathways and proposed a 5-year budget of over $3 million. Now, as I mentioned, the funding has been decreased, and so what we saw previously was around, let me get these numbers for you. In 2001, we saw 74 applications for this grant with approximately 49 awards. What we saw in 2011, I believe, was 162 applications for 78 awards. In this current fiscal year, it's estimated that there were between 150 and 200 applications for 20 awards. So the competition is fierce, and that just gives you some perspective. While we will continue to advocate and submit applications for Title V, we also want to take the work that was developed and ensure that we are trying to secure other funding for this program, for the Promise Pathways program. So through the application, real quickly, we focused on 4 major institutional challenges. For grant development and for competitive grants, we have to highlight our areas of need and where our greatest weaknesses are. And so through the work that Dr. Peterson has done with the Promise Pathways team and all of the faculty involved in that, there was a solid 18 months of planning and data through Eva's area. They were fantastic at really highlighting the needs for this institution and the needs of our Latino students, and really looking at how do we design programming that's going to support these. Our major institutional challenges are completion rates for full-time, first-time students is at 2.3%. We still have a historical equity gap at 7%, and we have very limited access for our most high-need students for our support services. And we have an emerging use of data to inform our system designs and our programs, and we really need to ramp that up for several reasons. So these were our major institutional challenges. The proposal focused on two key activities: the Promise Pathways Learning Community, which is really the hands-on direct services to students, it's the academic coaching, it's the Success Course series, it's all of those pieces that are really going to support the students as they progress through their Promise Pathways experience. The second key activity is innovative and evidence-based system redesigns, really focusing on what do best practices and what does research suggest will be most promising for our students, and how do we redesign and rethink and recraft what we do to make sure that we are providing opportunities for students that are going to ensure their success. So those were the two key activities in the grant proposal. And again, a lot of thanks to the Promise Pathways coordinating team and the institutional research department, institutional effectiveness department. And then lastly, you saw what Eva presented as some of the outcomes, and we're just put some highlights in here, again, not wanting to count our chickens before they're hatched, that what we have some aggressive and ambitious goals in this proposal. We've put forward that we are looking to increase completions for our first semester full-time students from our 2.3%, which it is currently, to 40%, which would be huge for our students. Increasing college readiness within the first year for our full-time first-year students from 1.6% to 20%. Again, a significant jump. And looking at decreasing our equity gap, cutting it in half from 7% to 3.5% for our first-time full-time students. So these are the highlights from our current Title V submission. We are waiting. We understand that April 16th, they began evaluation of the recent submissions, and that at the end of April, they were looking at finalizing that, and we are waiting any day for word on the results.
Okay, thank you. Questions, Roberto?
If I understand it correctly, would this be like our third HSI grant over the last 12 years or so?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. And each grant has to be...
I'm sorry, I believe this would be our fourth.
Well, you're
actually,
submitting
with
the
our
fourth.
Collaborative.
We just finished the third, and we're submitting the fourth with this one that's coming up?
Yes.
Okay. And it's my understanding that once a grant has been completed, it basically goes away, and you have to find methods of whatever program was initiated of either institutionalizing those efforts or they just go away.
Correct.
In this report, well, this latest one that you got before submitting this one, I was pleased to hear that there are some of the programs or some of the efforts that were put forth in that grant being institutionalized. Could you give me a summary of what some of those are? Because I'm very interested in well, let me rephrase that. When it comes to grants, okay, they come and go. Yes. I mean, there's no issue about that. And we try to make an effort to create programs that would not only have an effect on our student success and on our students, but also to try to have a lasting effect on those students. And when a grant comes and goes, it's very hard to do that. But there are some that I see here that are institutionalized. Can you give me a summary of what some of those are, just so I could get a clearer handle as to where we're going with this?
Absolutely. I'd like to preface it by saying that our efforts in resource development for grants across the board, whether it's a Title V or it's Perkins or it's one-time funding, we are really focused on aligning with program planning and institutional priorities to ensure that we have the support and buy-in on the front end to keep these programs and efforts going regardless of the funding source. For this current Title V, we looked at institutionalizing operation budgets and piloting some aspects that we have planned for institutionalization. I've tried to block out March, the month of March. We had a 3-week turnaround time. But we really looked at, in terms of aligning with Promise Pathways, what are going to be the long-term core needs? What do we need to get things up and running? One-time purchases for technology, and then looking at those ongoing total costs for those items, the software, the lab upgrades. We also looked at how do we redesign our academic counseling with the intent of institutionalizing those budgets for whether it's the student coaches or increased counseling or a different matriculation process or the assessment, the redesigned assessment pilot. So we really tried to look at everything as we evaluate whether or not these strategies works, planning for full institutionalization of each of these strategies. So I think that we pulled out individual items and at the same time really focused our intentions on our institutional priorities and focused our intentions on things that we are going to institutionalize whether we get this grant or not. So we're trying to take a different approach rather than saying, well, these are a few things we'll keep around, really saying this is something as an institution that we have prioritized and are committed to moving forward.
Yeah, I'm very pleased to hear that because I know in the past when we had situations that like we're experiencing now in terms of reductions in the staff that has to support these grants. I mean, we have to hire basically some staff to make the grants happen,
right.
Or reassign or manipulate the monies in such a way so that we can support it. And one of the things that I was always concerned about was the fact that we hire staff on a what would this be, a 3-year grant, 5-year grant, that after 5 years, they would have, when the money dries up, we're come across a situation where we're going to have to let people go. Saying that, I think it's important to, and I've mentioned this before with the VP of Human Resources, is looking at an alternative way of hiring staff for grants so that we don't come across a situation where we have to lay people off.
Right.
We know that once they're hired, they understand that they're hired on a 5-year commitment to make this grant happen. If it gets institutionalized and we have the money, wonderful, they keep on. If not, there's an understanding that the grant has dried up. There's no money there. When the money dries up, the positions go away. So I hope that we continue that research, or that we can start looking at other ways of bringing people on, because I know some of the positions that we look at, we're talking about we have to put them either in the classified service, which means that they get hired, they start accruing seniority, they get full benefits, and then we have to let them go. So I mean, I just don't want to create false promises for individuals who might want to apply for these jobs that are out there, and then have to disappoint them at the end of the 5-year grant that it's going to go away. So that's why I'm always concerned. Well, let me rephrase it. I always want to push that the more we're able to apply these grants, and these grants have an institutional focus, that we're going to institutionalize these, I think that would be the strength of the grants. Why go after grants if we're not looking at and institutionalizing them? That's basically where I'm headed with this.
Trustee Rogers, if I could just comment on what you're saying too, I think it'll help clarify. The Title V grants have a very specific institutionalization requirement in them. So you have to put that in. You have to say what you're going to institutionalize specifically and how you're going to sustain and support that after the grant goes away. I think it's also helpful for you all to know that other grants that we get, they don't have a requirement for institutionalization, but they have an impact for institutionalization, many of them. So we've tightened up our process and our protocols so that when we think about getting a grant and we're going through the process of considering that we walk through all the implications of doing that. And if we decide to move forward and know that there's going to be some kind of impact to the institution when the grant money goes away, that we've got a sustainability plan built into those grants for that purpose.
And if I could just add real quickly as well, we were very mindful about limiting the number of staff that were funded through the grant in order to support sustainability more effectively. It's not sustainable to fund everyone on a grant and then come year 5, try to look at how do we all of a sudden move them onto the budget. So we tried to live within our means, and we really tried to make an effort to be mindful of that long-term cost.
Well, I'm very pleased to hear that, because I think that there's a lot of important work that needs to be done, especially when it comes to student success. A program such as these HSI Title V monies that are available out there to provide that, I think is a wonderful thing. And unfortunately, as you mentioned, funds are getting scarce. They're going down, and the competition is going up. So we're going to have a hard time probably this time around in being successful. But I'm glad that we are looking at other funding sources. You talked about the Lumina grant, which we are very happy to have, and hopefully that this will continue. We're not going to let this go. In other words, we're going to continue on with that. The other aspects of these grants that I wanted to focus in on is that although the focus is on Hispanics and Latinos, I'm pretty sure, I'm pretty confident that there is benefit to the greater college, to the community.
Right. These are strengthening institution grants, and there are several in this category: the historically black serving institutions, the minority serving institutions in general. Each of the colleges are eligible to have a grant in one of these categories. They are not eligible to have multiple in the categories, or not eligible to have grants in multiple categories. So I forgot the question.
Well, basically, is that if we, let's say we get funded with this pathways, the focus is on Latinos, but there's also going to be benefit to other students as well, is what I'm saying.
Yes, they are strengthening institution grants. And as I mentioned, we serve over 17,000 Latino students every year. And so it really is to address our infrastructure and how we deliver services and how we provide support for these services. When we look at our completion rates of 2.3%, while there are many options we'd like to try, we really need to do something to scale that's going to address our population as a whole. And it isn't, we don't have to do things that are specifically for a cohort of students, but that's what we've chosen to do. We've also chosen to intermix it with some technology upgrades and some things that will really help us be more efficient in how we deliver services across the campus to all students. So, absolutely.
So, for lack of a better word, there's a collateral benefit.
Yes.
To having an HSI grant.
And that is the intent of the Department of Ed, is to have a collateral benefit to institutions that have a high majority of our minority population.
Okay. That's all I have.
Okay. I wanted to be clear that I understood what your measurable objectives were. When it says increase completions from 2.3 to 40%, is that course completion?
It is degree, AAAS degree completions for full-time, first-time students.
Okay. So it's degree completions.
Correct.
Degree and certificates, or just?
It is just degrees. We have about 6 measurable objectives. We just posted the highlights since we don't have the funding yet.
Okay. And increase college readiness within 1 year from 1.6% to 20%.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how do we do that besides admitting people that are better prepared?
Well, we have some great pilot models. We are looking at Eva's probably better to speak to this one, but we are looking at piloting a new placement model and looking at having significant impact on where students place when they first come in to the college, and so getting them to college ready within that first year seems much more attainable with the new placement model. We're able to do that through a partnership with Long Beach Unified and looking at things other than just the straight placement exams. Mm-hmm. We're also looking at the coaching, supplemental support services, and some new models, some accelerated remediation models that are still in development.
Okay. So, and this is measured within the learning community of Promise Pathways?
Correct, okay. Correct.
And where does the equity gap come from, the number 7%?
It is our institution's equity gap between our white students and our Hispanic Latino students.
White only?
Yes, and we have, I think, yes, I'm pretty sure it was for white only because we really wanted to pull out the disparity between our Latino student performance and our white students. We can get those actual background. The evaluation is extensive.
I know this is a proposal and that you haven't got the money, but I just was trying to understand what your goals were, and that helps me a lot. Great, thank you. Other questions? Okay, thank you very much.
Well, no, I don't have another question, but if something else comes up, who do I contact? You? Okay, thank you.
Great. Very interesting stuff about that we're working on. Agenda item 17, trustee communications. Oh, Jeff.
I just wanted to, over the weekend we had the CCLC conference, and I just wanted to acknowledge the fact that Doug Otto was reelected to serve on that statewide organization. We also had presentations from the college that was very well received about our different programs we have going on here. And so I just wanted to mention the fact that a lot of people doing a lot of good things. And she actually spoke earlier, and Eloy did say, but I'd also like to, whether it's, I don't know if it helps Lynn Shaw at all, but the fact that she stood up there and has taken a very strong advocacy role on a very difficult position, because being in the head of a union, it's never easy because everyone always says you can do better, you can do more. And so I just wanted my personal thanks for an individual, for the leadership this year, for people taking it, pushing forward, trying to get the information out, and not just sit back and whatever happens, happens. So I appreciate the fact of being very proactive on that, regardless. And I know it's not an easy job. Thank you, Doug, and congratulations again.
Okay, great. Any further? Roberto.
Yeah, at our last board meeting, I read a mission statement regarding the college's mission statement. And apparently the mission statement that I was getting all this time was old. So just for the record, I want to read the new one, the one that we adopted a few years back, which is much more precise and concise. That, again, I want to note that maybe we could put it up here so we can remind ourselves every day as to every meeting as to what we do here. But this is something that, this mission statement is we get before every board meeting. It's part of our board book. It reminds me every meeting of what my mission is here. And we also get a copy of the ethics, our code of ethics and how we conduct our business. So just a matter of information, because I know it's something you don't see. But for the record, the official mission statement of Long Beach City College is that it promotes equitable student learning and achievement, academic excellence, and workforce development by delivering high-quality educational programs and support services to our diverse communities. That's it. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. New business? Future reports? Public comments on non-agenda items. We have one individual signed up. He's a student, Sicomo Benoist. Benons? Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Wants to speak to us about learning communities.
Good evening. Before I start, I'd ask that you please refrain from interrupting my speech until the end. We do not want another situation to occur like the last 10 minutes in the board meeting. My name is Sicomo Benins. I came to Long Beach City College in the fall of 2009, and I'm one of the few African-American students on this college that will be transferring into a four-year university starting next fall semester. I got accepted into Cal State Long Beach and UC Irvine and plan to obtain my degree in history. I'm a part of the Sankofa Scholars learning community, and I'm deeply saddened to see that there will be no learning community benefiting African-American students at Long Beach City College in the next academic year. In an email sent to faculty on March 2nd, 2012, Superintendent Oakley's response to the Promised Pathways, and I quote, "Regardless of whether we agree on the specifics of the Promised Pathways agenda, one thing is certain. It is being designed to fundamentally and permanently improve the outcomes of all of our students. In particular, the agenda will intentionally target Latino and African American students." Yes, you heard that correctly, and I will not fall back from that rhetoric. If the Promised Pathways agenda is to intentionally target Latino and African American students, then how come the current existing learning communities who help enrich both Latino and African American students will not be existing anymore? What is the Promised Pathways actually doing to benefit African American students? Learning communities at Long Beach City College are not given a chance and are being cut, when these learning communities are being designed to fundamentally and permanently improve the outcome of African American and Latino students' transfers out into a four-year university. When the campus statistic shows that we are the lowest transfer rate, I find this very ironic. What gets me even more discouraged is that weren't some of the trustees members marching with us at the Martin Luther King Day Parade? Members of the board, if you would like the community to respect you, you have to pay it forward to the community first. In a recent article published by the Press-Telegram on May 5th, Latino college students in Long Beach struggled to graduate in college. President Oakley, you were quoted saying, "We've come to realize in California that most of our workforce in the coming years will need some sort of post-secondary credentials. But if we can't train our workforce, which has become primarily of color, we're going to be in trouble." Indeed. If we can't train our workforce in which the people of the community are primarily of color, then what is the Long Beach City College doing to help serve African American students, to help serve the community's workforce? Furthermore, in the article, it mentioned that part of the $600,000 Lumina grant is helping to fund the college's Promised Pathways initiative. Now, how is the Lumina grant, in which is to purposely help out Latino students, is going to aid the Promised Pathways initiative when it is helping to serve all diversities? But it's only intended, isn't it supposed to only help Latino students? If this grant is to purposely serve the Latino students in college, why is it that Puente will have one more academic year left remaining? Where will that $600,000 go? It seems logical to keep a program that already has a concrete establishment catered toward helping Latino students. Now, for the past couple of board meetings I've attended, I find that I'm very disgusted with the body language and negative energy of the board members that they give off every time certain individuals speak. Some of you are slouching, have your hands over your face, and are looking down or talking to one another. As an outreach ambassador for this school, I find that the fourth graders that I give tours to on this campus are better behaved. I know some of you make six-figure salaries, so the least you can do is pretend like you care and look at the students in the eyes. President Oakley, I would like to commemorate you on not being able to obtain your position at Santa Barbara. As you said at the last board meeting, we are family and that we need to stick together. Now, Trustee Otto, at the last board meeting, you interrupted Professor Hunn's speech saying that she better clarify what she said. Have you or any other trustee members ever clarified what you have said whenever we address our concerns? You trustee members never give a direct answer. Now we are asking you if any of you will clarify what you guys are saying, or will you guys be hypocrites to your own word? A lot of students are asleep and don't notice what really is going on this campus, but I believe there will be an awakening and the students will rise. Before I transfer, I would advise that you do not allow greed to continue to cloud your minds before it is too late. Oh, and since 55 staff members are being cut, please paint over 55 staff spaces for this student. Thank you for your time, members of the board.
There are no other public comments on non-agenda items. There's no other business that we stand adjourned.